He saw her once and never forgot her. She walked into his restaurant like she owned the world. Elegant, confident, untouchable. His friends warned him, she's not the one. But he didn't listen. He married her and stepped into a storm. Now he's a man, drowning in silence, crushed by the voice of the woman he once adored. This is the price he paid for ignoring the signs. In the beautiful and dazzling city of Asaba, there lived a very handsome man, Gerald. Gerald had just graduated from the university. He graduated from a department of food science and technology. After Gerald was done with school, he had tried to get jobs in various companies that had to deal with food, NASCO, and so many others, but he was not taken. And after giving it a very long search, Gerald decided to open his own food restaurant. He was very good at cooking, he knew the basics, and he could employ people. He already had the capital. So it didn't take long. Gerald opened a very beautiful, small, unique, dynamic, elegant restaurant. His restaurant stood out. It was something everyone spoke about. It was cozy. It was neutral. The arrangement of the restaurant was giving everything. That was a restaurant you could come and have a peace of mind. His workers were very, very dedicated. They knew that Gerald loved to cook. Gerald was that person that won't give rubbish to a customer. Every meal stood out. Every meal had a story. Every meal he presented to anyone was something unique. His friends always praised him and told him how choosing to open his own restaurant was the best choice he ever made, as everyone sang his praises. Gerald's restaurant was something that gave him joy. It was his own baby, and everyone knew not to joke around with it. There were rules, and everyone had to obey the rules, including his friends. In the same beautiful city of Asaba, there lived a very beautiful, tall, light-skinned, brown eyes, arrogant, wealthy lady named Tabitha. Tabitha owned her own company. She was into real estate. All she had was her mother's, as her mom had entrusted her to everything she owned. Her mom, Mrs. Okafor, who took care of her after her father had left them. Her father left when Tabitha was age 10 and had gotten married to another woman. As Tabitha's mom wasn't able to give him a son, and Tabitha's mom wasn't also a very polite lady at all. She was the one that taught Tabitha how to be very, very arrogant. All they cared about was getting the job done. They didn't even care who they were talking to. Whether it was someone way older than them, they were ready to make it rain on that person, ranging from insults to sack letters to reduction in salary. Tabitha and her mom were fierce. They were feared in the company. They were people that no one wanted to mess around with. And as a contractor, if they should give you a job, you better deliver. Even though they were ready to do things you won't even expect. So everyone was afraid of Tabitha. Everyone avoided Tabitha and her mom. They saw them as the bad eggs, the people who weren't willing to understand, the people who weren't willing to listen to someone. There was no room for excuses when it comes to Tabitha and Mrs. Okafor. They felt like if they give a job to someone, the person should carry out this job fast, neat, and accurate. That was their motto, and everyone working for them had to obey. Tabitha suffered this superiority complex right from secondary school after her dad left. Her mom always made her believe that she should choose her own style, that it was better for her to create something that people were going to mimic rather than she mimicking someone. So she suffered superiority complex. She always felt that she was above everyone. Even down to her very good friend Faith, who was her accountant at that time. Tabitha never, ever wanted to associate herself with people that she felt she was better off than. Instead, they should come and copy from her. She had a very bad way of behaving. She also spoke to people with a condescending tone. She never ever looked at people as if they mattered to her. Faith, who is her best friend and her accountant, always felt inferior around Tabitha. Tabitha always made it look like as if she was doing Faith a favor. You know, when I went to Dubai, I saw those wristwatch and I know it was going to do justice to that your attire. How do you see that? And Faith would politely say, thank you very much, I really love it. Faith never had the room to express herself because she knew Tabitha was going to make it look like as if she wasn't okay with her calling her a friend. So Faith was always feeling inferior around Tabitha. Whereas when Faith wasn't around Tabitha, Faith was a total different person. She felt like she was living her life. Tabitha was paying her bills, so she had to obey. The both friends often meet at a restaurant to hang out, either having lunch, dinner, or even birthday. They always try to talk to one another. Tabitha at times listens to what Faith has to say, her advices, her contribution to the growth of the company. So whenever they wanted to have these friends hangouts, they preferred to do it in a restaurant, not in the company. In the company, Faith refers to her as a boss and not a friend. But outside the company, Faith refers to her as a friend. So whenever they wanted to talk, gossip, or say anything, it was mostly done outside the company. And one of the best restaurants Tabitha often visited was a restaurant belonging to Gerald, Lantern Cafe. Whenever Tabitha was in Lantern Cafe and Gerald was around, Tabitha closely observed Gerald. She closely observed the way he was very particular about things, the way he addresses his staff. He was very mannered. He was actually a very kind person. But something that caught her attention was that he was very particular with the way he presented his food, the way his table were properly laid. It was very, very organized to her. And she found out that he owned the restaurant, so she admired the way he handled his things. Even while Gerard often noticed that Tabitha was always around, he saw her as a lady of high standard and someone that couldn't be approached. He was a bit afraid to go approach her because the way she spoke and the type of meal she ordered in the restaurants were quite different from the regular customer. She always waited for the higher things. If the wine was to cost 10,000, that was the one she was going to go for. She was someone that wanted the best, the most expensive if possible. So one fateful day, Tabitha was done with work and she had driven herself straight to Lantern Cafe, that was Gerard's restaurant. She sat down and she quickly ordered for a full bottle of wine. While she sat down quietly, working on her tablet, she gradually sipped her wine. But while doing this, she was also observing Gerald. Gerald was sitting down somewhere else, trying to round up with sales of the day, but he was also looking at Tabitha. They both admired themselves, but from a distance. The moment Tabitha's eye locked the eyes of Gerald, she quickly invited him over and told him that he could come join her and have a glass of wine. Gerald was driving home that day and he really didn't want to. But at the same time, he didn't want to sound rude. And he told himself that Tabitha was a regular customer and a nice one at that. So it was just necessary he sat down. So Gerald sat down and they conversed. Tabitha quickly told him, "I've noticed that you always looked at me." Gerald smiled and told her, "I also noticed you do the same." They both laughed about it and they got talking. Gerald loved the way she spoke, loved the way she carried herself, loved the way she presented everything she said. Tabitha on the other part also loved how Gerald spoke about food. At least that was all he knew at that time, his restaurants. After school, he did not bother furthering his education. He just opened his own restaurant and he was doing well for himself. He was the boss, controlling a lot of millions in his account. So when Tabitha was done with her drink, whereas Gerald was sipping a glass of water, they both exchanged number and they left. So with the passing days, Gerald often tried to reach out to Tabitha, sending her lunch packs, chocolates, flowers, so many beautiful things with very nice notes that always made her blush. Tabitha on the other part was also a very nice girlfriend. She always tried to reciprocate his love. She made herself available when needed. They had time to do the movie nights, they hanging out. So many beautiful memories were created. And when Gerard felt it was time to take it to the next level, he had quickly told his friends about Tabitha. But the moment he mentioned it, his closest friend Patrick told him, "Sorry, who did you say again? Like Tabitha Okafor, the owner of that very big real estate company?" "Gerard, please run away." Patrick was very furious while he was saying this. "Gerard, run for your dearest life. If you dare get married to this lady, just know you're digging your own grave by yourself." But Gerard told Patrick, "Why do you think that way? You don't always have to judge the book by its cover. The fact that she's a very wealthy single lady doesn't make her a very arrogant one." Patrick said, "Don't. You don't even know her. All you know is about food and your restaurant. Go and ask people in the labor market. Go and ask people in real estate. This lady is a no-joke lady. She can make thunder and storm rain on you. Her mom is even the worst. That one is Chief Margaret Tasha." Patrick even added, "Do you know this lady speaks to her staff in a very condescending tone? She's very abusive. She will make you have BP. I don't want my friend to die early." Gerard said, "Please and please, all this talk because I decided to come and tell you about the lady I'm seeing or what? I don't understand. How can you speak of someone in such a manner?" He refused to listen to whatever they had to say. And Gerard went on with the marriage. So, Gerard and Tabitha had a very beautiful wedding, an outstanding one at that. Something that was the talk of the town. A very, very fantabulous wedding. After the wedding, Gerard had suggested that Tabitha moved into his apartment, but Tabitha told him there was no need of that. She owned her own home, and Gerard was paying rent. Rather than moving into his home, Gerard should move into her own home. Gerard thought about this. He was the head of the family. It should be the other way around. Tabitha was supposed to move into his home and not him moving into her home. The moment he takes the step of moving into Tabitha's home, it was giving her the upper hand in the marriage. But Gerard quickly told himself, "I shouldn't be thinking like my friends. She's doing it because she cares." So Gerard packed his belongings and moved into Tabitha's home. Few weeks down the line, Tabitha also suggested that Gerard should open a new branch. Being that his business is doing well, everybody knows about Lantern Cafe. People loved Lantern Cafe. Most people took their breakfast, lunch and dinner from Lantern Cafe. So what was the big deal about opening a new branch? Gerard weighed the option, being that he had dedicated a whole lot to this first branch, and he didn't know if it was possible to share himself into two when he opens a new branch. But he didn't want to limit himself. He wanted to also look at the big picture, so he accepted. Tabitha helped him with funds, and he was able to open a new branch. Gerard was living his best life. He had even told his friends, "Are you saying that I am okay? Are you saying that I have gained weight? Are you saying that I'm always happy? My wife is a very beautiful and very nice lady." His friends will often tell him, "Okay, no problem. Sorry that we are wrong. We just hope we will be wrong to the very end of it." But with the passing days, things gradually started to change. Tabitha ordered him around. It all started with, "Babe, please, where are you?" And Gerard might probably say, "Oh, I'm heading home. I want to get something." I should quickly tell him, "Sorry, I forgot to tell you. My face cream has finished. Can you go back to so-so pharmacy in so-so place and get it for me?" And Gerard will quickly ask her, "Why don't I get it in the pharmacy closer to the house?" And Tabitha will quickly say, No, you can't. I only buy my skincare product from so-so pharmacy. And if it's not that pharmacy, it can never ever be another pharmacy. Please and please, I'm very specific in where I buy my things." Most times, Gerard will go. Other times, he won't. And whenever he decides not to go for that message, and he comes back to that house, Tabitha will finish him. She will insult him. She will rake on him. And she will even tell him that he's not even a caring person. That when she calls for him, he should answer. That's when Gerard started understanding what his friends said. What's the meaning of when I call for you, you should answer? I've never shouted at you before. You're my wife. So why are you raking? But Tabitha does not listen. She had never even listened to Gerard. It was the other way around. Gerard listening to her orders. So with Gerard's company growing, Gerard barely came back on time because he had to make sure he balances accounts from the boats, restaurants before coming back home. And whenever he comes back late and Tabitha tries to rake at him and he even tries to explain, Tabitha will feel like he's talking back at her. Who gave him the audacity? And she will quickly invite her mom over. Her mom was just staying 2 blocks away. Her mom will continue from where her daughter stopped. Mrs. Okafor, she will rain thunder. She will spark the hell out of Gerard. And when she's done with that, she will continue reminding him for months that her daughter made him who he is. Her daughter chose the best place to open a second branch, and that's why the second branch picked up fast. Gerard had no peace in his house. If it was not Tabitha talking rubbish, it was Mrs. Okafor raining thunder. Gerard barely concentrated at work. He even barely slept because whenever he returned home, Tabitha was always looking for one issue to cause trouble. It was either he came back too late, or he did not do one thing or the other, or probably he did not bother to pick her up, or he did not pick her call when she was calling. Tabitha always had something to complain, and this was beginning to get to Gerard. Gerard even made it a point of duty to stop coming back. Whenever she called, he was going to tell her that he was going to stay in the restaurant. Trust Madame Tabitha. She will drive her car and go and meet him in that restaurant, and she will continue from where she stopped. Gerard had no peace. His friends could gradually see that he was losing his sanity. He always looked absent-minded. He barely concentrated. Even when they had boys hang out, there was no time Gerard felt stable, and they quickly warned him again. It's not too late to Gerard. You can walk away. Walk away. Give her the second branch. Let her take it. Your peace of mind is what is important. At least the first branch is yours. You've been the one running it. Dash her that second branch and live in peace. But Gerard did not know what to do. He didn't even know how to bring up the topic of divorce to Tabitha. He didn't know how she was going to react about it. But when everything continued, when the shouts, the superiority complex, when all this her nasty attitude continued, Gerard decided to bring it up. He couldn't take it anymore. And he told Tabitha that he was willing to divorce her, that he wasn't happy in the home, that he was not here to share rights with her. He just wanted a wife, a home, someone that loved him and someone he loved greatly. But currently, it looks like as if they are competing. Who is going to be above the other? That wasn't what he wanted. He grew up in a home knowing fully well that the man is the head and the woman is under the man. But from the look of things, she's the head, she's everything, and he is nothing. That is not how marriage is supposed to be. Tabitha looked at him and said, okay, thank you for your preaching, but I'm not granting you any divorce. I can never be a divorcee. We are barely how many years in marriage. I don't even have a child, so I'm not granting you any divorce. So Gerard thought of a different way out, because now he was tied up in Tabitha's life. He couldn't freely hang out with his friends without informing her. He had no life. Tabitha practically controlled him after he brought about this divorce. Anything he says or does, she always painted the picture of he's trying to do it so that she could divorce him. But she wasn't seeing the fact that he loved her, but it was her attitude that was causing the trouble in their home. And the fact that she always felt like her mother's opinion was more important than his. After Gerard gave this a deep thought and knew fully well that the only way was either talking to Tabitha or forcing the divorce out of her, he gradually met her and suggested that they go for a therapy. And it was during this therapy that Tabitha learned to understand that she was doing marriage the wrong way. The fact that her dad had left when she was little had no relationship with her current marriage. Her mom had lived her life, and this was her own life. So she should live it the way she wanted. She cannot have a good man and throw him out. During this therapy, Tabitha learned to love, she learned to understand, she learned to be patient. This therapy lasted for a total of 6 months. After the therapy, everyone noticed a gradual and drastic change in the life of Tabitha. She became appreciative. She didn't have this superiority complex anymore. She barely spoke in a very condescending tone. Rather, she spoke in a very nice, loving tone. A tone inviting, a tone caring. And with time, her marriage also saw light. Gerald and Tabitha were living in peace. The once dating spirit came back into the home. They had time for each other, time to hang out, time to do so many things. And that was when she understood that what she was doing before wasn't marriage. Instead, she was ordering her home as if her home was a court. And with the passing days, Gerald and Tabitha welcomed a very beautiful baby girl. Tabitha was at peace with herself. Gerald showered her with love. She learned to respect her husband and she learned to put him above. Gerald's restaurants did well and other branches were opened. Gerald had a total of 4 branches scattered all over the city of Asaba, doing well for itself. Tabitha also learned not to always involve her mom in her home and also learned that the marriage of her mom was different from hers. So the way her mom lived her life shouldn't be the way she was going to live her life. And much later in life, they welcomed their baby boy. Gerald and Tabitha lived in peace, loving one another, respecting one another, caring for one another, and putting each other above any other thing. Thank you very much for listening to the story of the day. Will still remain your favorite storyteller, Zika. Please, I would like you to share what you've learned. For me, I like to state the fact that I like the fact that Gerald did not really walk away from the marriage. He was a bit patient. Yes, he was scared, but at the same time, he was willing to talk about therapy. And therapy tended to work out for Tabitha. Probably her mindset about marriage was the fact that her father left on time. So she thought that taming a man down was going to make him stay. But much later, she understood that taming a man down won't make him stay, as a man is not a dog to be tamed. Thank you. Please, I would like you to share what you've learned from this story. Do you think Gerald would have run away? Or you are glad with the fact that he stayed and helped to correct and redirect her life? Please do not forget to share our stories to your loved ones. So we'll see you again in our next story. Bye for now.